Alright, people, review of the week time. So, this one won't be a particularly long one. It's mainly going to be, and obviously this is an audio one, as you can see by the images there on screen. This is not going to be a particularly long one. I might just try and, you see, normally review of the week is what, between 20 to a half hour, maybe a bit longer. Yeah, this one would be lucky to get 15 minutes. But I just want to talk about the fights that happened over the course of the weekend, a little bit of news that's out there in the world of boxing, and pretty much after tomorrow. I actually get home tomorrow morning. Once tomorrow kind of comes around, we're back into the swing of things. I've got a couple of vids planned, doing a live once a week now until we get to December 23rd. I'm going to have a guest on this week, next week, and we're going to have guests on all the time until we get to December 23rd. So we've got a lot in the pipeline over the next couple of days and weeks. Let's talk about the fights that happened over the course of the weekend. Let's start right here with the DAZN card that happened over in Belfast. Right, there was some good fights on this card. There was some, I don't want to say upsets. The main event was, in my opinion, that was a big upset. But on the undercard, let's talk about it. So, I didn't see the Sean McComb fight, but apparently he had Sam Maxwell down a couple of times in that fight and ultimately got the win. Sam Maxwell was a good amateur. He was in the WSB. I think he fought Lomachenko in the WSB. And even if you go back, where do you go back to? Let's go right the way back to, which fight was it? It was this one. Sabri Sandri, I think is how you say that guy's name. That was in March 2019. And that's the fight where he got dropped a couple of times, beaten black and blue, and pulled the knockout with literally the last few seconds of the fight when the opponent showboated. But he took a beating in that fight. He looked vulnerable. And since then, he's just looked just awful. He was laid out by Dalton Smith. He lost on one of those Probellum shows. Before that to some Mexican. Now he's lost to Sean McComb. Never really rated Sean McComb, to be fair, but I thought he would have easily had the beating of Sam Maxwell, and obviously I was right. Kevin Ajago versus Troy Williamson. Now, I watched this fight live. I wasn't actually there, but I watched it with the live commentary, had a listen. Kevin Ajago won this fight, right? I know he won the fight. I've no issue with him winning. The weird thing, right, is that if you were to listen to the DAZN commentary, especially Darren Barker, you would say that this was a masterclass and it should have been 100 to 89, this, that, and the other, because Darren Barker, as he always does, only ever focuses on the home fighter. He never calls a shot from he literally never calls a shot from the away fighter. And so much work Troy Williamson was doing in there was just getting, don't worry about that, don't do about that. Oh, Kevin Ajago. You know the way he does it. This was a close competitive fight, but Kevin Ajago was the right guy to win. In my opinion, he did more. This was the best I've seen him for a while. Lately, he's not been looking good, but this is the best I've seen him for a while. Tyrone McKenna, who announced his retirement post-fight against Lewis Crooker. Yeah, McKenna looked a shell of himself in there. He really did. He really looked a shell of himself in there. McKenna, what level would you put him at? Fringe world level? European level? I always felt that he was unfortunate against O'Hara Davis. I thought he actually won that fight. I actually thought he deserved to win that fight. But other than that, in his career, every time he stepped up, he's lost. He's had a few handy decisions along the way. But he's been entertaining the whole way throughout. So he moves on. We're going to keep an eye on Lewis Crooker because he looked good. He looks good, I'm not going to lie. Then we get to the main event. Now, first and foremost for me, I thought going into this fight that Michael Conlan would win. As many of you will know, I've never been that highly keen on Michael Conlan, just from a fighting aspect, because I always felt as though him and Adam Booth, especially when he was with Adam Booth, they overplayed his skills to a ridiculous extent. He turned pro with a lot of acclaim. He had that, giving the finger to the judges and the amateurs, and people were really hyping him. I remember in one of the last episodes of Ringside, that was the show Sky Sports used to do, with Johnny Nelson, Matthew Macklin were on it. And Matthew Macklin almost guaranteed within 10 fights that Conlan would be a world champion. 10 fights, right? I knew, because I'd seen him in the amateurs, that he wasn't anything to write home about, and let's see how he gets on in the pros. I didn't expect much, and from early on you could see, okay, this guy is not cut out for the pros. He just doesn't have any punching power. His defense is not as good as he thinks it is. He doesn't have the punching power or the arm length because he started with Manny Robles, then he went to Adam Booth, and I was like, well, he doesn't really have the arm length nor the punching power or the physicality to make that style work. And Conlan, you see, a lot of people say, you're too harsh on these Irish fighters. Well, define being harsh. If someone who does not look good says he's going to do X, Y, and Z and he's not doing it, well, I'm going to pull them up on that. It's like the way I pull fighters up, like, for example, I'll just use it, Tyson Fury or Floyd Mayweather before him. When they say that I'm the best, this, that, and the other, and I'm going to do X, Y, and Z, and they're not doing it, well, I'm going to be like, well, you're going to get it twice as bad. Because these other fighters are just going around saying, I think I'm the best in the division, this, that, and the other. It's like, okay, let's see what you do. Conlan was saying he's going to win 3 world titles in 3 different weight classes, this, that, and the other. And I was like, well, no, you're not. So I'm going to judge you based upon the claims you're making and based upon what I'm seeing. So I've not seen much from you, right? But you're saying you're going to do all these things. Well, you clearly ain't. And I think deep down Conlan knew that his style didn't translate well into the pros and that he was just looking for the easiest routes. Because you got to bear in mind, right? This was a guy. This fight was at 130, okay? Conlan started at 122, went to 126. There was, I think, a time where, I don't know if he was mandated, but certainly I think he was in line to fight for a vacant title at 126. I think it was the WBO, and it was against Navarrete. We're going down to 122. Looking at Stephen Fulton, who we didn't know at the time. Once Stephen Fulton showed how good he is, back to 126 to look again for a weak champion. So if you are so confident in your ability, why are you going from division to division looking for the easiest touch in terms of a champion? That doesn't jive with what you're saying about, well, clearly, go in and fight Navarrete then, if you're so much better. So I've always judged Conlan based on that. And when it comes to people saying, you need to back no, I don't need to back no Irish fighter. If they're good and I think they'll win, I will say it. I'm not going to support them just because they're from Ireland. Getting back onto this fight, all right, I really did think Conlan would win because I always felt Conlan was better out of the two, between Jordan Gill and Conlan. At least Conlan's losses come in world title fights, and at least I was going to say against Lopez, he really wasn't in that fight, but Lopez is a very, very good champion, where at least against Lee Wood, he was in it. The referee in that second round was having a look at Lee Wood as well, so he came close. Whereas you look at Jordan Gill's losses, he lost to someone a few years ago, I can't remember the guy's name, and then an ancient Kiko Martinez beat Jordan Gill up. He really did. He put a beating on Jordan Gill. So I was thinking, there's no way Gill is going to win this fight. There's just no way. Well, he proved me wrong. Conlan's chin is completely shot. It's absolutely shot to pieces. And to be honest with you, I always say it's not for me to say you should do this, you should do that. But if your chin is that shot, he needs to have a look at things. He really does. He needs to weigh things up and see what's next, because I really don't know how you fix that. He's getting hit too much. He's slowed down. He doesn't have anything to keep these guys off him with. So yeah, for me that was what that was, I'm afraid. In terms of the Queensberry show on Friday, I only seen 2 fights. I seen young Moses Atelma. I seen his fight there. He was in there with an absolute pudding. He got rid of him in a round. It was a good knockout, to be fair, but again, in there with an absolute cream puff. I'm probably going to do a separate video on Atelma because I've rated this kid for a while. Very highly touted, and I think there's a lot of good there. I might hold off on giving my 2 cents on it until I do a video when I get home separately on him and just kind of go in detail about what I think they need to do moving forward with him. If they want to take it slow or do it the right way, or if they want to go down the Mike Tyson record route, whatever. But there's a lot of potential there. I did see the main event. I just laughed because I seen the main event, right, with Gavin Gwynn. I've seen Gavin Gwynn a few times, and fairly alright. He's run of the mill fighter, European champion now, right? He was losing this fight, alright. Although unbelievably, right, when you look at the scorecards, right, one judge had Gavin Gwynn ahead by 2 points. Don't know how you could score that fight. Don't know how you'd have Gavin Gwynn ahead in this fight. He fought a guy called Emiliano Marsilli, right? Marsilli. All right, now going into this fight, he was undefeated in 42 fights, and you're thinking, 42 fights undefeated? How long? I've never heard of him. He's 47. Seriously, 47 years old. Made his pro debut in 2003. Bit like Mark Demore, he just kind of fought a who's he. Because who are these guys? he literally is just feasting on. I wonder how much inactivity there was. Yeah, there's been a bit of inactivity there, but not a crazy. Unreal, right? And this guy, 47 years old, and you'd want to see this guy in the ring. Honestly, when I was watching that fight on Friday night, I was just thinking, if VADA are doing this fight, they are going to be absolutely foaming at the mouth to test this guy. Because 47 years old, with that work rate and that energy at 47 years old, I was like, he needs to be tested. 100% that guy needs to be tested. No way. Now, he did retire with a shoulder injury, and to be honest with you, how crude he was throwing them shots, because they were very crude, some of the power shots he was throwing, very crude. You were kind of almost asking for trouble throwing shots like that in terms of injuries. For me, when I was looking at it, I was like, oh, he's gonna either hurt his hand, or he's gonna throw an elbow out, like an elbow is gonna be, gone a little bit, or he's gonna do something with his shoulder. The way he was throwing them were so sloppy. He was you're just asking for trouble there. So I wasn't massively surprised, to be 100% honest, when I seen him get pulled out with an injury. Gavin Gwynn was coming into the fight, to be fair, and also Ryan Garcia knocks out Oscar Durant in 8 rounds. It was, Garcia did what he needed to do. It wasn't the easiest comeback fight, to be fair, but he did what he needed to do. He then calls out Rolly Romero. I should say Ramirez. I always get mixed up. Rolly Romero. Look, Ryan Garcia wants to be world champion. If he fights Rolly, he will be world champion. The only thing is, though, O'Hara Davis has said that he's next in line, well, provided he gets by Ishmael Barroso, which he should, which is going to happen on January 6th. It was pushed back due to visa issues. Golden Boy are going to want to do that because it's going to be in-house. And the winner fights Rolly and becomes world champion, because, as I've said several times, and I'll say it again, worst champion in boxing, Rolly Romero, not even close. No one else comes close to him in terms of just, that guy is world champion. Eddie Hearn. Now, this is an interesting one here, right? I would say there's an element of truth here, right? There's an element of truth here, but I'd say, I don't know, right? So he said that he had a bit of a confrontation with Jarrell Miller at the press conference, right? He said that Miller came up to me and said, oh, you're scared now. I went, I ain't effing scared of you. I know what you did, right? He talks about Conor Benn and stuff like that. He said, well, next time you're going to be in New York, I'm going to have someone pull up on you. This is what Eddie Hearn is claiming Jarrell Miller said. And Hearn just responded with, go F yourself. I wouldn't be shocked, because Jarrell Miller is that type of character, if he did come up and confront Eddie Hearn. Whether it was quite like that, maybe it was just a case of, oh, why are you doing this, and maybe Hearn did. I wouldn't rule out Hearn telling him to go F himself, to be honest with you. Because Miller, a lot of people would like to tell Miller to go and F himself. Believe me, but a lot of people would. Miller is a scumbag. He's a scumbag. That's all he is. But at the same time, there's that selfish fan in me, and I'm sure in others, that want to see him fight, because he is entertaining. And that's why I'm looking forward to his fight with Daniel Dubois so much. In terms of other news, like I said, I only have so much time to do this, and I don't want it to be too long because the Wi-Fi is not great around here. So in terms of some of the other stuff that's been happening, the Conor Benn situation, I mean, that's still ongoing. Benavidez, Canelo, and obviously John Fury has been saying that, Tyson Fury, they're stuck with the February 17th date for now, but they're worrying, is he going to be in the right condition? Whereas Alexander Usyk is uploading pictures of himself out and about training. And that's what I was saying. Usyk was always going to start training camp early. That guy is never out of the gym. He is meticulous. I've never seen him out of shape. Whereas Tyson Fury, after Francis Ngannou, did he go straight back into the gym? Did he party for a bit? Did he lick his wounds? Carl Froch was saying, will he have a very Merry Christmas? And, when you start hearing it from more people, not just Froch, you're like, could it actually happen? I hope not. Look, I hope we get this fight on February the 17th. I'm looking forward to it greatly, but I ain't gonna lie, there is a bit of a worry there. Look, in terms of everything else, I'm back home tomorrow morning. So tomorrow evening, I might even do a live tomorrow evening, who knows, just a solo live, we'll see. Just to catch up, talk about everything, and we'll see how it goes. So for now, I will leave you with that. Back to business as usual. And people, I hope you enjoyed it. Smash the like button. I hope you enjoyed the picks of Ireland. I know people have missed them. I love doing it face to face with a camera, but the picks of Ireland will do for today. So I hope you enjoy it, people.